Yeah.
The Cosby
I
Show.
give you that. I have to go with the classic, Sanford and Son.
Now that's a strong second.
That's
a strong
second.
second.
That's strong.
DeMarcus.
This is before my time.
Oh,
Mine.
okay.
Hands down. Can't nobody take that. Martin.
Oh, hey, you know
I
what?
can
Now,
watch
Martin,
it all day, every day.
You know what? And it's on all day, every
all
day.
day, every day. And laugh like
Like
it's
you
the
leave your
first
TV
episode.
on BET at night.
Yeah.
When you
All
wake
day.
up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's on.
So your whole room changes
Yeah,
color.
yeah.
I watch that like it's
Yeah.
freshly
That's a
on.
classic.
Yeah, I
He
give you
gives
Martin.
energy on every show.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
give you Martin.
What about you?
You know what? I'm with Greg again,
Come
man.
on, bro.
I got to do both, though. I got to do the Cosby Show and A Different World.
Well,
for me,
yes, sir.
it was everything
Yeah.
at the time that I needed.
Yes, sir.
Having a family.
Yes, sir.
It was like, that was my goal.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to be Dr.
yes,
Yusuf
sir.
Hussle.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Still to
Yeah,
this
man.
day, I watch all the reruns.
Yes, sir.
I
Yes,
watch
sir.
TV
Yes,
one, I
sir.
watch them the whole
Yes,
show.
sir.
Absolutely.
Huh?
Claire was fine too.
Oh, Claire was fine.
Sorry,
yeah,
Claire.
yeah,
Still
Claire was
fine.
fine.
That's
Sorry,
another
Cliff.
conversation.
Yeah, that's another conversation.
Yeah. That's debatable. That's not debatable.
That's not the
That's factual. That's
That
factual.
ain't debatable,
Big
Max. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Y'all ready for the conversation?
Let's get
starter?
it.
Let's get it.
sir.
All right, let's
do it.
get it. Let's talk about sports a little bit.
Game time.
NBA season is here.
Yeah.
Let's start off with favorite team.
Oh, man. I'm going to have to go with the Bulls, Chicago Bulls. I'll go with them. It was one of my greatest teams. Favorite team right now, I don't really have a team. I don't really have a team, but it's interesting what's going on in the NBA.
Okay. Who's your favorite player?
Oh, I got to go old school, man. I got to go back to Earl the Pearl Monroe
Gotcha. Wow.
and Magic Johnson.
Wow.
Them guys were smooth, man.
Wow.
You know, because they weren't just the basketball players; they had a whole package.
Yeah.
Got it.
They had swag, they had clothes. Earl the Pearl back in the day. You know, come on, man.
Okay.
Classic.
DeMarcus?
Favorite team?
Yep, favorite team.
Woo! Laker Nation.
Okay.
Laker Nation.
Yeah,
Favorite
yeah.
players. I can't not say one name without the other. Michael Jordan, greatest of all time.
Yeah.
But Kobe Bean Bryant.
Wow.
You can't say one without the other.
Well, that's true,
Kobe
too.
Bean Bryant. They
That's
were one
true,
and the
too.
same.
That's right.
You don't even know
Laker
who Earl the
Nation.
Pearl is, do you?
I don't know what he looks like, but I've heard of him.
Yeah.
Greg Kirkland, favorite player. Favorite player.
Well, there's a little known black history fact about myself. I'm 6'4", 245 pounds, and I am not into sports at all.
Blasphemy.
Basketball or
Wow.
football.
Blasphemy.
And I will watch it if it's on. But don't ask me about no team, don't ask me about no players. I'm just gonna tell you. Listen, the closest thing I get to a court or a football field is singing the national anthem.
You lost 20 points on your black card.
Say what you want to say.
Well, you stay out of this part of the conversation.
I can really go home.
card.
This is
It's
really a
gone,
three-part
brother.
conversation. But I will say this. I did watch The Last Dance,
What? MJ. Oh,
and I gained so much
Oh,
more
yeah,
respect
yeah.
for Michael Jordan.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah.
I
All right.
will say that.
Yeah.
I'm like with DeMarcus, Laker Nation, all the way. Magic
I can see
Johnson,
that.
great,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
To watch him play is
dynasty,
just
man.
phenomenal.
Oh, it's
Just
phenomenal, man. It's magic, man. It's magic.
All right, let's talk about this COVID vaccine in the NBA and sports in general. We know, we got some players that are standing out and kind of not taking it. Kyrie Irving, probably the most prominent NBA player out there, not taking it. What do you think about that?
Hey, listen, man. I understand a person's right
Yep.
to vaccinate or taking medicines, but I also understand the rules of an organization. Now, if you're a part of this organization and it calls for you to do this, if you want to be a part of this organization, then you got to adhere to the rules, because it's not this pandemic is not just about what you think.
Wow.
It's about the lives of your teammates. And basketball is a close contact sport, Greg, that was for you. It's a close contact sport. So you're going to be up on each other.
Let me turn this mic off. Let me turn this mic off.
Somebody's
turn
going
this
to
mic
cough,
off.
sneeze, or something like that. So, man, I say, man, you got to have respect for the organization and the team that you're on and just go ahead, man, and get the jab.
But then why wouldn't the team didn't mandate it, so he's not violating a team rule.
Yeah.
The team didn't make. The team's not making it.
I
The
understand. but-
NBA's not making it.
Yeah, I understand, man. But for the greater good, I just think, and again, the then what question? okay, if I don't do this, then what? I lose a couple $1 million. Okay.
Oh, he's still making 17 mil now.
Oh.
He ain't losing
Oh.
a lot.
Oh. Okay.
It's a tough one, man, because I have to have respect for anybody who makes a choice for them. Like I can't force anybody to tell somebody what they choose to do for their person. I understand his mentality to a degree because I don't know what he's thinking about. I don't know what he's researching or anything like that. But I can't push that man. But from being an athlete and understanding, bro, you're a major piece to this team. We're counting on you. We're looking at championships. We're looking forward. I understand the punch that they're receiving.
Yeah.
So I'm like on both sides of the scales. Like even when from the idea of somebody making a decision to do something that they believe in, we can go back to Colin Kaepernick, right? And how much hate and things that he had, but it was his choice to stand up on what he believed in, regardless of what everybody else was saying. He lost out on his whole career at that, but it's just it's difficult to have an opinion on what a personal person believes, but understanding the effects that, bro, if you get out there on that court, his family's at stake, and it's not saying that you are the one, because it could come from anywhere in the stands or whatever, but I'm just on both sides of that.
But you know, the other part of it is we don't know what underlying things health-wise he has too.
That's true.
For sure.
He may not want to reveal. He may have some other things going on that if he gets that vaccination, it may counteract with something that he may have. So it's a tough call, man.
Kyrie has always been controversial. In a sense, like he's always been in the headlines of controversy around his beliefs, right? So it's always been, I wouldn't even say always, it's the last 3-4 years, it's been something wrapped around something that he believes, ideas, etc., and it always interferes with the team. So I can see
controversy
why
sells.
Yeah, and I think, again, I believe in, for me personally, my family, vaccinations, fully vaccinated, even and going to get the booster when it's available, all that.
For sure.
But I think when you look at the Kyrie situation, for me, I think you've got to respect a man's tenacity to say, you know what, because again, we don't know what's driving his belief.
For sure.
And he doesn't owe that.
He don't owe that.
To all of
he
us,
don't know.
whether it's a religious belief or whatever it is. But I think in this day and age when we as men get accused of not really standing for anything.
Right.
You know, and just, adhering to the status quo. You got to respect the man and say, you know what, I get what it's, because he's not dumb. He's got to know that it's costing him his, we don't know what the locker room is like with them, whether it's costing him some friendships or some, again, if Brooklyn doesn't make the playoffs because he's only playing in half the game, then again, that blame is going to come. He's got to know all of that, but he's still got to know, you know what, at the end of the day, I've got to look at myself in the mirror and say, this is what I believe in. So to his family and other people who know that this is what he believes in, what does that say about him if he bows down and says, you know what, to win this basketball championship or to make this money, I'm going to do something that I don't believe in. I think it, again, go ahead, Ponder, what you got?
At a certain extent, man, I think it's got to be some compromise for the greater good. I mean, you could still have your stance, and you could still say, listen, you know what, I stick by what I'm talking about, but I also understand the other side, if in fact that's what you're going to do.
But he did a live. He responded. He gave his response to the situation, and even to the point where he's already getting heckled. They're killing him on SportsCenter. They're killing him across the nation. So he's already taken the heat. And the season just started. You know what I'm saying?
See, for me, here's where it gets kind of funky to me. Because, again, I'm not too up on the story. I do know of it, but I'm not too up on it. But in just listening to you all speak.
Kyrie plays basketball, just in case you didn't know. He's a basketball player. Go ahead.
I'm going to turn this mic off in a minute. I'm going to tell all y'all something.
I ain't saying that, though.
You're the only one. You're the only one ain't going to get it.
I digress.
This is all I'm going to say. And I kind of go back to, we had a couple of episodes ago, we talked about Texas and them mandating that a woman, you know, we started talking about that.
Right.
Yeah.
And when we start getting into the conversation of rights,
man.
it gets tricky. Because the reality of it is, to your point that you made, Colin Kaepernick kneeled or knelt, however you want to say it, for something that he believed in, and it just so happens that it was a cause that many of us agree with.
Right. Okay.
And so for that reason, because we agree, many of us agree with it, it was cool.
It was cool.
Stand for what you believe in.
Right. It would be akin to, again, if somebody said, you have to, and again, we all, both of us all happen to believe in God.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we said, you have to denounce that in order to do this.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
no.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure about it.
And again, and we look at that as that's something higher.
Right.
No, you can't. That's unfair to ask us to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
At the end of the day,
At the end of the day,
it
it
comes
comes
down
down
to personal
what you
conviction.
believe. Again,
Yeah, I see your point.
To thine own self be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see
Now,
your
that's
point.
what he's
Is there
doing.
an impact to the team? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there maybe an impact to his wallet? Maybe not to a degree that it's going to bother him.
No, for now.
But again, to him, the question becomes, what's more important?
Absolutely.
For sure.
This team being pleased with me, or me being pleased with myself and my family being pleased with me?
Yeah, but I mean, look at the other side of that, though, man. I mean, you can just die. You could get sick and die, or you could get so sick that if you come out, there's some things that you're going to be impacted by for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, listen, I stayed in the hospital for a month and a half being sick, close to death. I know that feeling.
Wow.
If they told me I had to step on that roof every day at 3:16 for 3 minutes, hey, man, at 3:12, I'm looking for the ladder. You understand? I don't want to go through that anymore.
You're right.
So, you know, I don't know what this is in this vaccine, but what I know is they're saying that you won't get sick and die like I've seen some people get sick and die. So that's what I'm going to do. So I just think, man, dude, come on, take the jab.
I hear you.
All right.
That's rough, man.
Yeah, it is.
That's rough.
All right, let's move this. Ready to debate?
Let's go.
Let's go to That's Debatable.
We should start with that.
All right.
Everything we talk about is
It's
debatable.
always we just
I'm
conversation.
just saying.
Now we're going to debate.
The new show is called That's Debatable.
Okay, this is a good one now. You ready?
Yes, sir.
What do we do about our prison system?
Oh,
How do we help once somebody gets into the system? How do we keep our men out of the system? Okay. Listen, according to Morehouse School of Medicine, what percentage of the prison population in America do you think black men make up?
80%?
Yeah, I'd go with about 80%.
No, it's not that high.
It's not that high?
No.
Oh,
That wouldn't even be funny.
I'd say 40.
That's it. That's it.
Wow.
40%?
We make up 40% of the prison population.
My bad.
Wow.
But blacks make up only 13% of the U.S. population.
oh well.
So look at that disparity.
Yeah, there's a
13%
disparity
of the
there.
population.
I got you.
But 40%
of the prison population.
of the prison
That's
population.
interesting. That's
So
interesting.
again, so what is the problem with our prison system?
Well,
A lot.
one of the things I see, man, it's a multifaceted issue. One of the things I like is the new language that people are pushing. DC just came out with the language, the verbiage of, and some people may think, oh, that's petty, that's nothing, but it's a lot. They utilize the verbiage now when people come home from prison, they call them returning citizens. There's no ex-felons anymore. They're returning citizens. So the language that we put on those who are incarcerated or behind bars, we've got to think about that because we can't just put them away.
What are they doing for them though?
Well, here's the other
What are
part.
they doing for 'em?
One of the things that they realize is there's a term that goes with the parents of the parents or the children who have parents who are incarcerated, and it's called disenfranchised grief. What happens is when they suffer a loss. When we suffer a loss due to death, there's grief counseling. We have funerals. We gather around that family. But when a person goes to prison, we don't do that for that family. So there's a disenfranchised grief. So when I say it's multi-pronged, it's got to be some legislation that helps in several areas. Number one, we think about, oh, well, you know, when they come home, let's get them a job. But they can only work at certain places because you got to check a box. So we got to eliminate some boxes. And based on the crime, like if it's a child sex crime, you of course can't have them around children. I understand that. If they stole something, you know, you may stole money, you probably can't have them in the back. Maybe, I don't know.
Right.
You know, is that
Right,
fair
sure.
to even judge?
Sure.
The other part of that is legislation on these minimum, maximum terms, for instance. You know, we had the 3 strikes laws, and you saw what happened right with that. So it's a thing where it's got to be legislation against a bunch of stuff that we do to stereotype people when they go to prison, and then help them along the way. There's a person that I know of in D.C. again, the families who have incarcerated young people because of the price gouging that goes on. That's another thing we got to have some legislation about. Telephone calls are $3 a minute.
Wow.
So what this lady does is every weekend, she brings over a bunch of the parents, and she has the reverse calls come to her house. And she pays so that each person can talk to their child.
Wow.
So it's a multi-pronged situation. Even in church, we got to do some things.
Sure.
We got to talk about the fact of, listen, don't go to prison.
Right.
We got to tell our young black
gotta
boys
start
and
there.
black girls, listen, don't go to prison.
But the reality is they're going. So when they get out, what do we do? What do we do?
Oh,
what
it's
do we
relationship.
what do we do when because it's happening?
Yeah.
And you got a system. We know, again, you look at all the stats, we know how, it says we make up 40%.
For sure.
Yeah.
And we're 13%, so
Right.
a lot more of us,
Right.
the percentage are going.
For sure.
So what's some of the, Greg?
I just feel like it first has to start from a standpoint of being honest with ourselves on the conversation.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is this. If we could be honest, we can love a person, we can be understanding with a person, regardless of what their past history is, right? But there's something in all of us, or maybe I can't speak for everybody, but there's a little something in you that as soon as you hear that a person has been to jail, there's something that kind of clicks in your mind and says, okay, what you go for, you know, what have you been rehabilitated?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
no,
just
that's
something.
real.
It's
I get
something.
you.
That's
You
real.
know,
I get you.
I have a daughter. If my daughter comes to me
Absolutely.
and say, hey, Dad, you know, I'm dating such and such,
Absolutely.
he just got out.
If you find out your
Wait,
your next door neighbor
Right.
was on the predator
Exactly,
list,
exactly.
you absolutely
When you
wanna
find
know.
that out,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
it automatically now builds a wall.
Yeah.
And regardless of how large that wall might be,
Yeah.
it builds some type of wall. So then from there, we've got to build a relationship with the person
Yep.
to gain trust,
Yep.
to be able to feel whether or not they've been rehabilitated or not, right? Okay, so so I guess I'm going to answer your question with a question. The question is, what can we do or what can we offer that first deals with that initial step of, okay, you've gotten out, now we need to get to know each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
It's-
I think
Yeah.
I think that's good because again, it's hard to do anything for some. I think that's really good to do something for somebody and you don't have a
know
comfort
anything.
level
You
to
gotta
know
have-
who you are
Yeah.
and
Right.
what you are about. And again, because that's the case with anybody that you meet just
Period, in
normally.
general.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah,
just meet
yeah,
you,
yeah.
I have to know
You're not
who
gonna
you
trust
are
the
and
guy
what
to
you
build
just- and what you're about.
You've got to build the relationships.
Absolutely.
I mean, you initially talked about the prison system, and I used to work with the juvenile justice system heavy for years, and personally, I just believe prison is just the end, not the end game, but it's the end game. It's the result, right? But we have to do a whole lot more with certain people in power and
Yeah.
positions.
Yeah.
So working in the juvenile justice department, we'd have to go. I was on the streets a lot.
Yeah.
I was in the courtrooms a lot. And even when I was in the courtrooms, I would go in chambers and talk to both attorneys and representation. And there was so much wrong in every single scenario. Here's an example. We would go into chambers. We would have the case. We would talk about the student. People, one, already had their minds made up.
Right.
Two, they wouldn't ask questions.
Wow.
They would depend upon the person that was working directly with them to give them the feed.
Wow.
And even with that, even when I would watch the representative for the student, they wouldn't talk to the parents. They would talk to a minor, drop all this law on them, knowing they don't understand it, and have them make a decision.
Wow.
Right there.
So it's just the mechanics.
So it was a crazy systematic flow.
Yeah.
So even when we got into the chambers, the judge may ask, okay, what are we doing with this kid?
Yeah.
And if nobody was there to stand up,
Yeah.
or stop or pump the brakes,
That was
the
it.
decision is made.
Yeah. Wow.
And everybody just gets up and flows. So
Wow.
Yeah.
I think when we talk about prison, whether you were talking about laws, every state has its own laws, every county has its own ways of doing
Yeah.
things. So education, which we often find ourselves talking about, is a must.
Yeah.
But it's hard to pile that down because you're also working against systems.
Yeah,
Yeah,
systems,
absolutely.
you know what I'm saying?
I don't
So
think that
even-
we can rely. And I think that one of the issues I see, what you said is true. We can't count on other people
For sure.
Right.
Right.
to fix the system
Right.
that
sure.
benefits them.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
Privatization of prisons has
Yeah,
become
man.
so big.
Sure. Yeah.
Again, it's a business.
Right.
So even you think about the people making the laws, and
Yeah.
Yep.
you can't expect a group of people who benefit from something.
Right.
It's almost like, wanting to shut down a pie factory
Yeah.
from people who are getting rich by
Yeah.
selling pies.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Don't
So,
touch the pie factory, Doc. Don't touch the pie
so
factory.
I
we
knew you
have
was
to,
gonna- I was gonna
I guess,
strike a
number
chord.
one, stop. What do we do to stop? We got to stop them from entering.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
That's
And
why I said
believe-
it has to
Right.
start there.
That system.
It has to start
I
believe
from
you
the
gotta be
beginning.
intentional.
That's where the
From
talk
jump.
has to be. Don't
The
go
odds
there.
are, once you get in there,
Right.
Yeah.
But it's beyond.
life for you changes.
Yeah. Right.
Even if you come out and get yourself
Yeah.
and you're all the way together, life for you it's so much has passed you by and so much has happened,
Yeah.
and you're at such a disadvantage. The odds of you not going back
Yeah.
are
For sure.
very, very low.
I will say personally, I remember undergrad making Warner Robins, 18-year-old kid with a group of students. We're having fun. We get pulled over. We get arrested. We face down. Dogs, camera, everything. Taken to jail. And even in that moment, that space coming out, the only thought that I could remember was, okay, who's going to be there for me? Because you're lost, you're confused, and this is just a younger kid,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I can only imagine from adults, anything like that, whatever you've done, whatever. But the post game to it is if we're going to try to prevent, there's plenty of organizations out there that have opportunities, education, et cetera. And so it's a two-way street. It's being able for us to be intentional with the younger generation, and I'm talking about
Yeah.
more than just conversations.
Right.
Like I see you.
There have
We
to be
all
programs.
know that student,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
male.
Right.
Everybody either throws away or
Right.
everybody talks about or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And somebody stepping up and being intentional to say, "Come here."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Regardless of whether you hate me,
Yeah.
regardless of whether you push against me,
Right.
I ain't
Right.
going nowhere
Right.
because it's either you allow me to help you
Or you gonna be lost.
you continue doing what you're doing
yeah. Sure.
and something's going to occur. Like we can see that, right?
So not to cut you off,
Yeah.
but so with that, then do we need to, because in sitting here in talking and having the conversation, it led to two questions within me.
Yeah.
So the first question that it led to within me was, okay, prior to young people going in or older people going in,
Right.
whoever, adults going in, then one, do we need to, because the question is, what do we do about it? How do we help? What do we, so then is it up to us to implement more? Like I always hear people talk about the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
You hear people who went through the Boys and Girls Club, they always have the testimony of,
sure.
it saved my life.
yeah,
If I had
yeah.
not had the Boys and Girls Club, I would have ended up on the
Sports,
street or
everything,
dead.
yeah.
Sport. So,
Music,
so on one hand, for preventive, however you want to say it, then I think that we should be focused on implementing more programs in advance.
Yeah, yeah.
To focus on getting young
absolutely.
people off the
Absolutely.
street,
Yeah.
giving them a place
Yes.
to go,
Absolutely.
giving them a gym to go
Yeah.
play
Yes,
ball at,
sir.
whatever it is. So you have that aspect of it. Okay, but now we have the flip side. So now what do we do about the ones that have actually gone and have to come out,
That's
right?
right.
It's the same.
It's
Yeah.
the same.
That's right.
But,
It's
but,
absolutely
but here's the
thing.
question. Because you mentioned that you used to work for juvenile justice. And I had some experience with juvenile justice as well. So But you talked about how you would go in and you would be in there with them. So to the point that I was making prior to this about building a relationship and how do you know if a person is rehabilitated, how do you know if a person is changed, all that kind of stuff. Then do we need to be going into the prisons and developing the relationships with them before they come out?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that we already know.
Yes.
I think you're absolutely right.
To
You have to
prepare
get
them
you have to
for
get
when
them.
they come back.
But see, we do that.
Okay.
We do that.
Okay.
You have counselors that go in.
Okay.
You have programs, fraternities,
Got it.
organizations
Got
that
it.
set up things to go in,
Okay.
speakers, etc.
Got it.
But the mentality in there, even when I was in there, was ultimately, bro, I'll do whatever it takes just to get out of here.
Okay, got it.
Right. I got
I'll
you.
listen to you. I'll write your paper.
Okay.
I'll
Got you.
say what you
Got
want
you.
me to say, what
Sure.
I
Got
think you
you.
want me to say
Sure.
to come out. But even in that post, coming out for anybody, even with working with adults and stuff like that, in that coming out of it, there's so much made available.
Understood.
And I believe that the two-way street to that is available, but me being who I am, have got to come to make a call to say, what is my why for not going back in?
Yeah.
What am I? Who am I going to be accountable to?
Okay.
To say I cannot keep doing.
Okay.
And so I've got to make that call.
So the
to go to those
organizations can't
programs.
stop post-release. Those organizations that go in, they've got to follow them
continue
through
on its own.
and
Yeah.
have the relationship all the way through,
Maintain it.
walking
And
with
stay
them.
on it.
And it's got to be,
Like a big
it's
brother.
not just one thing, it's everybody, because as you deal with the person coming out, you're also looking and seeing what type of support system they have in the house. And then helping that out, because the household may be something that may
Toxic.
cause them
Oh,
to
yeah,
go
absolutely.
in.
You gotta
So now we
understand
got to
that.
understand all the elements
yes,
And that-
sir.
that surround
and
this
there's a
person.
psychological part of that
Yes,
because you have
sir.
to find out is what is that thing
Yeah.
that you wanted.
It's
And-
habitual.
That-
Right.
Again, because in some cases it is fast money.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, you see fast money. So
Right.
that's the thing that you wanted. So instead of working a job and doing this, whatever it is, you wanted that fast money.
You go
or
after
it could
it.
be an addiction. Whatever that thing is,
We got to get
you
to
have
that.
to tackle to. You have to get to that
Yeah.
thing.
Sure.
Because
Sure.
if you don't
Get
get
to
to that
Sure.
thing,
Yeah.
if I
Exactly.
get out and I still want fast money,
Sure. Right.
I'm going to still go after fast money.
Sure.
So,
So
if
you gotta
don't
deal
find-
with that.
You
Yeah,
got
if
to
you don't
find
deal
out.
with that,
Yeah.
sense.
How do I get him to think differently about the money? I understand you need the money to live.
Right.
But here is a way to
A
get the
structured
money.
way.
That's going a structured
legal way.
A legal. That's it.
Yeah.
Let me
But you have to
educate
get
you
to
on
that.
this.
Yeah.
Here's a step further, though. Even for us as a community, not just African Americans, people in general, there's also the battle with the people who are glorifying the prison system.
Oh, yeah.
That we battle. So working with students heavily, it's this idea or concept that they've gathered where I got to go to prison to have a certain status.
Street
or
cred.
I got to have cred, et cetera. Right? That's something that's continues
Yeah.
to
And,
go
and,
down.
and again, what
Yeah.
we see and what they hear
Wow.
Yeah.
glorifies that.
Absolutely.
It-
But
it's
it
like-
takes
I'm
for
not
us
afraid
to
to do, you know, I'm not
snatch it,
afraid.
brother.
So they're looking for affirmation.
Wow.
They're looking
With
It-
their
that's
peers,
like a piece
with their
of it.
peers, with
Yeah,
their,
for
you
sure.
know, it's
Yeah,
a
for
badge
sure.
of honor.
Yeah.
For sure. And I mean,
say I'm gone.
and it's like,
keep
it's almost the
Listen,
glorification
let me tell you
of,
something. I don't want that badge.
oh,
Yeah, I don't
no,
want that
it's the glorification because even for them, I've had to tell a student, I mean, he's going in, he's saying it wasn't nothing, et cetera. They take a piss. I said, but you ain't got that money to get out.
Right.
Wow.
You ain't got that group of people that's gonna be right there, got you a vehicle, clothes. All you got is moms.
Wow.
And what stuck to me to this day, I tell anybody if anybody that's in that mentality, we did a walkthrough one time, and we took the kids through death row. And it wasn't like a scared straight situation, but it was like, no, let's just be realistic. Because depending upon what you do, what decision you make in a moment,
Yeah.
it may be 2 to 5,
Wow.
it may be 10,
Wow.
it may be life, or it may be this.
Maybe this.
And I kid you not, this dude opens his thing up, he looks at the student, he said, I don't got one thing to say to you. And his words were, you want to stay out of here? Don't lose the love of your mother.
Wow.
Because once you lose the love of your mother, you've lost everything.
Yikes.
Everybody sat back and had to sit on it like, what?
Wow.
And so the students confused. They was like, what do you mean? He was like, at the end of the day, the people that are there for you, hardcore, mom, if we think about mothers, it don't matter what you did. When we were growing up, we were bad. Well, I was bad as all get out. But at the end of the day, she was always there
Yeah.
to get me back on track,
God.
to teach,
Sure.
to show.
Sure.
But
So whatever you
his
can
thing
do to
was, if
maintain
you
that.
lose that love,
Yeah, if you use, yeah.
you lost everything, which means
Absolutely.
you've lost it all.
Absolutely. Look, again, we could talk about this all day, debate about it all day.
that was a
Again,
heavy
a
one,
lot of
bro.
good
Yeah,
stuff.
Doc.
Thank
Yeah.
you, gentlemen, again for
Yeah.
joining
Yeah.
us here.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you all
sir.
for watching. We'll
Yes,
see
sir.
you next time. Another great show. Thank you for joining us for the conversation. Take care.
Yes, sir.
That thing hit me in my gut.
Ah.
You gave me
All
something
right.
right there.